Welcome to Module 1 of Homewise Homebuyer Education, the online edition. In this module, we'll discuss your monthly mortgage payment. Thanks for watching.
Welcome to our section on qualifying for your mortgage. We're going to begin with understanding mortgage basics. Many of us don't have the cash that we need to buy a home outright, so we're going to need a mortgage. That's the word for home loan, mortgage. We'll be talking about it a lot. Let's start by breaking down our monthly mortgage payment. It contains 4 pieces, P-I-T-I. If you have your handout, you'll see this is on the first page. Our P stands for principal, the amount borrowed or the unpaid balance. I is for interest, the fee charged for borrowing money. T is for taxes. In New Mexico, this is paid to the county. And I is for insurance. In our case, in our conversation today, we have 2 aspects. The first is HOI, or homeowner's insurance. And this is a type of insurance policy that combines liability coverage and hazard insurance. This is protection for us as homeowners. The other type of insurance we'll be discussing today is PMI or MI. This is known as private mortgage insurance or mortgage insurance, and we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. Let's say, for the sake of our example today here at Homewise, that my home purchase advisor told me that I can afford up to $1,800 each month. These 4 pieces need to fit into this $1,800. We can estimate our property taxes to be about $1,800 a year. So if we divide that by 12, because we're talking about our monthly mortgage payment, we can see that 150 of that is for our property taxes. Next, we'll break down our insurance, our homeowner's insurance specifically, which we can estimate to be about $1,200 a year, or again, divide that by 12, and that gives us $100 a month. That leaves us with $1,550 available for the principal and interest portion of our monthly mortgage payment. Now, in this example, we're talking about a fixed rate mortgage loan. What does that mean? A fixed rate mortgage loan is a mortgage loan in which the interest rate will not change over the life of the loan. And therefore, the amount in this example going toward principal and interest, $1,550, will not change over the life of the loan either. What will change is how much of this $1,550 is going toward my principal and how much of my $1,550 is going toward my interest. Let's break that down a little further. Let's take a look at an amortization schedule. This chart is part of an amortization schedule for a $200,000 loan, 30-year fixed rate loan at 5% interest. This chart shows how much of my monthly payment, specifically just that principal and interest portion, goes to pay the principal and how much of that monthly payment goes to repay the interest. Here we have a little bit of information about this loan. We've already discussed that it has an annual interest rate in this example of 5%, a loan amount of $200,000, and a payment amount, just that principal and interest portion, of $1,073.64. For the sake of ease, let's just call it $1,073. That $1,073 in this example is the same as our $1,550 in the previous slide. Let's take a look at payment number 1. That very first month that I make my mortgage payment, we can see that just $240 of this $1,073 is going toward my principal, and that leaves us with $833 of that $1,073 going toward my interest. At this point, there's much more going toward my interest than my principal. Let's watch what happens next. What about 12 months later, so 1 year, 12 payments later, now how much is going toward my principal? Just over $250, so about $10 more. And how much is going toward my interest? $822, so about $10 less. We can see that the scale is starting to shift. So what happens 30 years later, 360 months, let's take a look at how much is now going toward my principal and interest portion. Of that same $1,073, we can see that $1,069, almost all of it, is now going toward my principal, and just $4.45 is what's now going toward my interest. So whereas at the beginning, we were paying much more of that portion toward interest and less toward principal, the balance has tipped over time, and now almost all of it is going toward principal with very little going toward interest. Why does this happen? Why does that scale tip throughout the years? Do you have any ideas? It's not just because the bank wants their money, it's something that we commonly hear. The reason is that it's all based on percentages. With payment number 1, I am paying my 5% interest rate on that whole $200,000 principal balance. With payment number 12, I am now paying that same interest rate on our remaining balance of just over $197,000. So percentage-wise, we are paying more dollars toward interest when we owe more money, the $200,000 versus $197,000. The same way that 1% of $20, $2, is more dollars than 1% of $10, just $1. We're just talking about bigger numbers here, and that's why the scale tips. How can I adjust these numbers? Yes, you're right. We can make prepayments or pay a little bit extra when we can directly toward our principal or how much we owe. Let's take a look at an example. Here we have a table that illustrates how both the total amount of interest paid and the length of time that it might take to pay off your mortgage can be reduced by making prepayments. If we keep that same example from the last slide of $200,000 at 5% interest, if we look at the first line here, we can see that without any prepayment, we're still taking 30 years to pay off our mortgage, and we don't save anything in interest. We're still paying, in this example, over $186,000 in interest on top of the $200,000 that we borrowed for the home. It can be a sobering moment, but let's see how we can take some control. If I can pay just an additional $75 a month toward my principal, specifically, in this example, I would eliminate 4 years, just under 4 years from my mortgage. So instead of it taking 30 years, it would take me 25 years and 11 months, and I'm saving over $29,000 in interest. That's nothing to sneeze at. What if I can't do that extra $75 a month? No problem. What if I can make one extra mortgage payment a year? You might be asking yourself, well, where am I going to get this extra money from? Here's an idea. Maybe you get a tax return, maybe you get a bonus at work, or maybe if you're paid every 2 weeks like I am, there's 2 months in the year when we receive 3 paychecks. Maybe you take one of those extra paychecks and apply it directly toward your principal. If you do that in this example, making one extra mortgage payment a year, it would take almost 5 whole years off of our mortgage and save us over $35,000. Those are nice numbers to see ourselves saving, aren't they? Now, keep in mind that this interest savings is not money that's coming to me, but it's money that's never leaving my account. If you can't do the extra $75 a month, no problem. If you can't do the extra 1 mortgage payment a year, no problem. Even $5 a month will have a great impact over time, so don't hesitate. If you are going to make prepayments, here at Homewise we make it easy. You can set it up with your automatic payments so that it will just happen every month without having to do anything. You can drop off a check anytime as well. What's important is that you want to make sure that you denote these funds as principal only. And I recommend writing that in the memo line of the check so that we, your loan servicer, know that you want all of that money going directly toward your principal, more quickly reducing that balance. Let's go back to our escrow account and to the rest of our monthly mortgage payment. When it comes to taxes and insurance, that money each month is going to go into something called an escrow account. You can think of this like a forced savings account in a way, or a custodial savings account. Every mortgage that we have as your loan servicer has its own separate escrow account into which we place these funds. So when I make my payment each month of, in our example, $1,800, as we've just discussed, $1,550 of it is going toward my principal and interest portion, with that balance changing, right? And the portion for my taxes and my insurance are going into that escrow account. How often are my property taxes paid? They are paid 2 times every year, once in the spring, once in the fall. What about my homeowner's insurance? Just once a year for my homeowner's insurance. So we're paying, however, a portion, 1/12, 1 month's worth, each month, right, into this escrow account to ensure that when the time comes to pay these bills, we have enough money in that escrow account to pay them. This is something that's the responsibility of my loan servicer, Homewise, if your loan is with us. And it ensures that the funds are there when the time comes. This isn't a separate account that I need to worry about, or I don't need to worry about coming up with, for example, an extra $1,800 each year to pay my property taxes. Each year, at the beginning of the year, I will get an escrow account summary for what happened in this account this year, showing each deposit and each withdrawal. It's essentially a bank statement for my escrow account, and it will show me what happened over the past year. Ideally, everything comes out perfectly because the amounts that you are contributing each month toward your escrow account from your taxes and insurance amounts are based upon your actual amounts. However, these amounts can and will, all right? These amounts can and will change over the life of the loan. Why might that happen? If my home value increases, my property taxes will also increase because it's based on a percentage. Cost of labor and materials also generally goes up, and the insurance company is going to compensate for that. So I will also see increases in my annual homeowner's insurance premium. Each of these things will be divided over the 12 months of my payment, right, of my monthly payment, and I will see those changes reflected in my monthly mortgage payment total. This is even if I have a fixed rate mortgage loan. Remember, that's the most stable type of loan, but that fixed rate only applies to my principal and interest portion. It's not going to apply to my taxes and my insurance. So let's take a look at an example. Let's say my homeowner's insurance changes $12 this year. It increases by $12. If it's increasing by more than maybe $10 or $20 in a year, you might want to call your insurance provider and see what's going on. Maybe it's time to shop around, or maybe you can find another policy. In our example, if my homeowner's insurance increases $12 over the year, if I divide that $12 across the 12 months of the year, that means that I need to pay $1 more this coming year into my escrow account to compensate for that change. That will change my monthly mortgage payment from $1,800 to $1,801 in this example. So again, even if I have a fixed rate mortgage loan, my monthly payment can and will change over the life of the loan, perhaps even on an annual basis to accommodate for any changes in my property taxes and my homeowner's insurance. Next, let's talk about that mortgage insurance or private mortgage insurance. This is an insurance that other lenders charge if I bring less than 20% down payment, 20% being the traditional down payment that you'll find with other lenders. They're asking me to pay this other insurance, this private mortgage insurance, because I am riskier if I bring less money down. They're bringing more, I'm bringing less, so they'd like a little insurance to cover that. It would be dependent upon how much I bring, how much they charge me each month. It can be as much as an extra $200 a month. So let's use that example here. If I have a loan with another lender outside of Homewise, because we don't charge private mortgage insurance each month on our loans, let's say it's an additional $200 a month. That $200 a month either needs to fit on top of my $1,800, so I would need to be able to afford a payment of $2,000 a month. Or if I can't, if I don't have the room for that payment in my budget, then it needs to fit into my $1,800. It can't come out, that $200 cannot come out of my insurance portion because my homeowner's insurance is just what it is. They can't come out of my property taxes portion because that also costs what it costs. So it would have to come out of my principal and interest portion. Meaning that I would now have, instead of $1,550 available for my principal and interest, I would now have $1,350 available for my principal and interest portion. If I have less money going toward the actual mortgage itself every month, will I still be able to afford as much house? No, I won't. So here at Homewise, we've eliminated this monthly private mortgage insurance because we want to ensure that everything that you're spending each month is going toward getting you as much house as you're comfortable with. What's our insurance, you might ask? Our insurance is that you're completing this course today. Our insurance is that you've worked closely with our home purchase advisors and home buyer coaches to go through this process in an educated way, taking care in each step with your team by your side.
Thank you for attending Homewise Homebuyer Education, the online edition, Module 1. Return to the course page on our website to complete the required learning check before moving on to the next module. If you have any questions, please reach out at 505-983-9473 or email trainers@homewise.org.